Chapter 9. We must open the door of love. Section 1. We must only love. We must not be stingy with love. The human must eat and live off of love. For some humans, we don't tell the other person that we love him or her first, yet we desire for the other person to say it to us first. We don't tell the other person that we love him or her first. This is precisely the spirit of stinginess. It is to be stingy with love. Our days are numbered, and the day to go to God is determined for the human no matter who it is. God has determined our time schedule, but the human goes on living without knowing that he is inside of that time schedule. Even the time we're given to share love is short. We often see this image of ourselves, the image of not sharing love or not loving. We think of stinginess only as material things. Humans say they can't offer to God or share with their neighbors because they don't have anything. God doesn't tell us to offer what we don't have, but what we do have. He tells us to use what doesn't run out even if we use it over and over again. Love that comes from the heart is the spring that never ends. Even if one tirelessly says, "I love you," from his or her heart, it is a spring that never dries. The spring of love is inside us, but we are not using it. Since the other person doesn't tell me he or she loves me, why should I let my pride be hurt and tell the other person first that I love him or her? As I say this, I set forth my righteousness. Whether the other person gives me love or not, I must plant it anyway. And just because I say it doesn't mean it becomes planted. A heart that loves must arise from inside. A heart that says, "How is it that you're so lovable?" must arise, and the love of God must continuously go out from me. When such love goes out, love also enters inside me. If love does not go out, this precisely is stinginess. It means the spirit of stinginess is contained inside me. The spirit of stinginess blocks from inside me. Hell is when love doesn't go to the other person. Love from inside me doesn't go to him or her. If there is someone I don't like to see, this is a big deal. It must be quickly resolved, at least by fasting. If love doesn't even go out, how could love be harvested? When love goes out from inside myself, it is harvested by love. Now we must change our thoughts. Having received the word, we realize that we've thus far been stingy with love. The fact is, love is something that doesn't even cost money, but we are stingy. We are being deceived. So then, to whom have we been the stingiest? Have we not been stingiest to the person closest to us, yet good to the people we see when we go outside? God tells us to give love starting with those inside the family. We must not be stingy with love. First, we must love the life inside our spirits, and then begin with loving the family. For true love to come out, love must arise inside me, and it must arise from the family. We must only love. God is love. We must also only love, and only love is the path of life. At the final end, there is sighing because there is no love. Love that sacrifices for others is disappearing inside the human. The sacrifice of taking care of one's parents is disappearing. The love of taking care of one's neighbor is disappearing. Love that sacrifices for the other person is disappearing. It is changing to egoistic love, love that is only for myself. However, God swallows up this love. That people love themselves and love money, that people can't reconcile with each other, all this is work that arises when He comes again. I must look back upon myself and see if these things are arising from inside me. Not forgiving the other person, staying resentful, not restoring relationships, making enemies, these are all things that Satan does. In the last days, pain will come due to these things. Just as we would die if our blood suddenly stops flowing, there is pain if love does not go out from inside us. If love of a person whose love is supposed to constantly go out does not go out, he or she dies. If love enters me but does not go out, I give off the smell of sin. If love only remains contained inside, it rots, so it smells. No matter how much love I have, if I leave it inside and close the door, it suffocates and dies. Love must be let out. If we constantly let out love, we live a long life. To live a life filled with the fullness of joy, we must only love. I must offer myself unsparingly. The human is stingy when giving love. We are stingy even when clapping our hands and offering praise to God. This spirit of stinginess flows in the human. Even if it doesn't cost money, people are stingy in this way. When it comes to things for the other person, there is stinginess. At the end of days, the human loves himself and money. We are stingy with something that does not even cost money, so how stingier we must be when it comes to money. That is why we need disciplining. The human has stinginess, but Jesus did not keep even one thing and poured everything for mankind. If one pours, it is made such that more things are returned. But since we do not pour, we can't receive. This does not refer only to material wealth, but to things that are with me. When someone sings a special praise song and we clap our hands, it is not toward the person, but we clap because we lift glory to God. We don't clap to say the person sang well, we clap because we are saying, God, receive glory. But we can't even do this correctly. This kind of spirit of stinginess flows inside us. This belongs to Satan, so poverty follows us around and our spirits go through hardships. Jesus laid out all of his things without leaving even one thing. All of mankind will worship him when he comes again. Who could live without eating what God brings down? Now, we must throw away stinginess and offer ourselves unsparingly. Section 2. We must open the door of love. We must love starting with the family. God is love. If I love God, I must obviously love my siblings and family. How could I say I love God whom I cannot see, when I cannot even love my family who I can see? We must love starting with the family who we can see. To love the closest person is real love. If I can't love the person who is closest to me and can't be acknowledged by him or her, this is not genuine love. I must begin with loving myself and then love the closest one, husband, wife, and or child. When love has dried up in my family, who would I go to love? So love must arise inside myself first, and I must begin with loving my family. We must open the door of love. The reason our hearts experience difficulty is that we can't love from the place where we are supposed to love. We must find again the love that we lost. We must give love and not be stingy. If I say to the other person, "Why would I give you love when you don't give me love?" then the inside of my spirit dries up. Love is not something that belongs to me. God tells us to give love, but we only try to receive it. If this is so, we can never meet God. That is why we say things are difficult. When my heart feels difficulty, it seems like I'm the one who is at a loss. But my heart feeling difficulty is God undergoing the loss. God gave each one of us talents of love. But rather than using them, we just keep them buried. That is why, as shown in Matthew 25:14-30, God is at a loss. If God is losing, how could it be good for us? Why do I open and close the door of love according to the way I feel? Love that says, I will only do this much for you since that is how much you did for me, is a wrong love. Such love is not the love of God. That is why things are difficult. We must open the door of our hearts and embrace everything in love. I must become a person who gives love. In this era, families are noisy and breaking apart not because of money, but because of love. We can know whether love is or isn't in the family when hardship comes due to a family problem. Real love appears at the moment of greatest difficulty and hardship. When a problem explodes, the family breaks apart if there is no love, even if those in the surroundings are dried up inside. If there is love, the family sticks together as one. No matter how much a husband and wife say they love each other, one can know whether it is real love when a difficult problem explodes. Those who overcome such problem rise by the power of love. Though we say families break apart because of such and such problem, ultimately it is because there is no love. Satan constantly brings problems to break love apart. The family that really loves each other becomes one even more when there is a problem. While there is noise because of problems, while there is some shaking, ultimately we win by love. In this way, God is trying to have us save each other by love. But Satan tries to remove love from the family. In the past, our love was egoistic love, love that puts out its hands to only receive. But if God's love of the cross enters inside us, we begin to love the other person with sacrificial love. Love changes. When the love of God enters perfectly, we start giving love. How could I give love if I can't receive love? Love that's of the cross is living water that continues to explosively overflow from inside me. Now, I must become a person who gives this love. We must supply the love of God to the lives inside people's spirits. We must give out love overflowingly. Even though the human says he or she will give love to the other person, there are times when a large amount goes out or a small amount goes out, depending on how the person feels. When a lot of love goes out, my heart is rich. But when little goes out, doesn't joy disappear from within, and don't I become poor? When a lot of love goes out from inside me, there is satisfaction. That is why Jesus said to the rich young ruler, "Go, sell what you have and give to the poor." He means to tell me to give out all the love that I have received. He says he will take responsibility then. Would flour in my jar run out because I give a lot of love to the other person? Even though I scoop and scoop, it would constantly come out without ceasing. When a great deal of love goes out to the other person, my heart is rich as it is satisfied. Even though it isn't productive towards me, I am still simply happy. When love does not go out, there is no satisfaction inside myself, so joy disappears. No matter what a person is like, the quantity of our love must increase genuinely. It must go out overflowingly from inside us. Then God will pour overflowingly. Yet since the things inside me do not go out, God's things do not come down. That is why in Matthew 19:22, the rich young ruler went away sorrowfully, for he had much wealth. Would telling him to sell his possessions and give to the poor be only about wealth? We must give love overflowingly so that the other person is satisfied. Then God continues to let me be satisfied. Since I only give a little, He gives me only that much love. If I'm happy when a great deal of my love goes out, God pours on more. And so, if I give out love overflowingly, my image changes, and the other person changes as well.